I'm Steve Kazan, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about the upcoming International Mesothelioma Interest Group conference scheduled in early May in Birmingham, England. We are very pleased and proud that our law firm is the only law firm in the entire world who has had abstracts accepted for publication and presentation at this medical scientific meeting. We've done this now for 3 consecutive sessions of the iMig conferences, and once again, we are still the only law firm sharing scientific information with the physicians and researchers in attendance. This year, I will be presenting 2 posters at the poster sessions based on abstracts that will be published in the proceedings of the conference. The first poster deals with a very unusual cluster of mesothelioma cases at the University of California Berkeley in the graduate physics department, where a senior professor and 2 of his then graduate students all developed mesothelioma after exposure to asbestos-containing products used during experimental physics work in the university's laboratory. This was in the early 1960s, and all 3 of these professors died within 2 years of each other in the last few years. It's an interesting and very unusual event, which we felt was important to highlight as a reminder to all the scientists in the room that even they are exposed to asbestos in their work and are at significant risk. The other poster that we are presenting was based on the development of events after a similar poster presented 2 years ago involving genetic abnormalities and genetic testing relating to asbestos. 2 years ago, we had a poster on what's called BAP1, a genetic abnormality, which is demonstrated to increase people's sensitivity to asbestos and susceptibility to developing cancer. Back then, the focus of our paper and our poster was on the ethical requirements for doctors doing genetic testing in this new arena. It involved developments at the early stage of a lawsuit we were handling involving a woman who developed mesothelioma after having been exposed through family members who worked at an asbestos cement pipe plant here in Northern California. That case, since the last iMig conference, went to trial, and it resolved just before final arguments to the jury within the past couple of months. The purpose of this year's poster is to discuss the use by the asbestos companies of this kind of scientific defense in asbestos litigation. They've been trying to use this as just one of the ways of excusing their own conduct by blaming the mesothelioma on something unrelated to what they did. In this particular case, we demonstrated that our own experts testified that this genetic abnormality is not, in fact, a separate cause of mesothelioma, and indeed the defense expert in the case agreed that that was correct. The scientist who had earlier created an affidavit saying that asbestos itself could cause mesothelioma, which was mentioned in our earlier abstract, was listed as an expert witness on this subject by the defense in our case, but they withdrew him, would not present him to cross-examination in front of a jury and a judge. So the point of this paper and of this abstract is that it looks like this defense has no merit. Even the people who try to rely on it don't have the courage to go forward with it, and we thought this was an interesting and important development. The editors of the proceedings obviously agreed because they deemed this worthy of publication in the peer-reviewed set of abstracts coming out of the meeting.